Hello and welcome back to VNI Nation. This is another episode of Scattered Thoughts, the show where we talk about various topics and ideas, but each one connects to the previous idea in some way. So today I'm going to be talking about Robocop because Alex talked about the police. And you know what Robocop is? That's right. He's a police officer. So let's jump right into it. Now, the Robocop that I'm specifically going to be talking about is the original Robocop way back in the day before they made the remake in 2014. So I went back and I rewatched Robocop, and it was something. Let me tell you, it has definitely aged a bit in its time. We just don't make movies the same way like we do back then. But besides the point, I'm going to jump into the plot of the movie, which was what I wanted to talk about in the first place. Now, Robocop takes place in what they call Old Detroit because they're building a new city, or they're planning on building a new city called Delta City, which would make sense if they called it Old Detroit, because the new city that they're building was going to be called New Detroit, but it's not. And I kind of have a problem with that. But the people who are taking on this task of building a new city, they are called the OCP, or the Omni-Consumer Products. And this is a business that has pretty much taken over the world by the time the events of Robocop take place. And they have footholds in like the military and hospitals and, general consumer products, like basically anything you could buy or that the government could buy. They have a hand in it somehow. And specifically in Old Detroit, they have their hand in the police force. Now, the reason this is a problem is because a private organization, a private company, has control over a public service, which means that they can abuse it. And in the movie, they 100% do. One of the higher executives in the company has made this plan for Delta City while it's going to be constructed, and he's going to kind of allow these crime lords into the area where they're going to be building this city, so that from the ground up, corruption right off the bat. Like, they're building this city to try to correct the problems that Old Detroit has, and in theory, like, it's okay, cool, you're building a city from the ground up, that's cool, but they are taking advantage of every single aspect of this project. And the police force in Old Detroit, they are fed up because there is just so much crime, like, everywhere, right? And there's no control. There's way more crime that's going on than the police officers have the ability to handle or take control over. So one of the we'll call him the CEO, right? Yeah, we'll call him the CEO of Omni-Consumer Products. I don't remember his specific exact place, but he's pretty high up, right? He's the guy who says yes or no to projects, right? So they're in the boardroom and they're listening to this pitch from this guy who wants to have all these autonomous robots patrol the city in place of police officers. And okay, that's kind of interesting. Like, it's an interesting idea. We've seen how that could go wrong in the past, but let's see what your idea is. So he brings in the robot. It's this massive, clunky thing. Like, it is ridiculous, but it's got some firepower, right? So in the boardroom, they do a test. They do a live test in the boardroom. This guy holds up a gun. And then, there's a problem with the robot, and the guy dies because the robot kills him. So the CEO, right, he's like, nah, fam, we can't do this. This is not acceptable, right? But the guy who's heading up the autonomous robot project, he is also the leader, or he's the one who's allowing all of these crime lords and these crime syndicates into the city to take control of the city. He's the one who is allowing all this stuff to happen because he has such a high enough position in Omni-Consumer Products, and Omni-Consumer Products has control of the police force, and the police force is inadequate. So this guy has a lot of power, but he doesn't have enough power in the company to really, take advantage or move his plot along enough. So one of the younger guys comes in, and he's like, hey, my team have been developing this program called Robocop, and we want to see this implemented instead of the autonomous robot thing. Because of the huge disaster of the autonomous robot, the CEO, he's like, all right, you're going. Like, you got 90 minutes. Give me a presentation on this Robocop program, and we'll see what we can do. So, the name of the movie is Robocop, so obviously they go with this plan, and it starts off with this police officer who dies because if you're going to make a robot out of a living being and it's erase all of their memories, it's probably best that they're already dead before you start doing that. But that doesn't really work out all that well. That's a side point. The whole the Robocop plot was just kind of like the centerpiece of the movie, but you really want to look at the background and look underneath the top layer and see what's really happening, right? The police actually go on strike in the movie, which I thought was striking, but I didn't really think, like, police go on strike, like, what is this, And then anarchy ensues, obviously, because the police aren't working. And, Robocop is, out of commission because he's having an existential crisis, for lack of better terms. So I looked into it, and actually, in 2019, in March of 2019, in Philadelphia, there was a police strike. And I was surprised, honestly, because I didn't really think that was like a thing that happened, but I guess it does. And what on earth do police strike about? They wanted to look at their body cam footage before making a statement. Yeah, you can have fun with that one. Anyway, Robocop has 4 primary directives. 1 is serve the public trust, 2 is protect the innocent, and 3 is uphold the law, and 4 is classified, but we find out later that it is a secret directive that means that if Robocop tried to arrest a higher officer or a higher executive of OCP, that he wouldn't be able to, and he would shut down, which becomes like the sub-conflict or whatever that gets resolved at the end, because the CEO, he was like, you're fired, and now since he technically no longer works for the company, he's no longer a higher executive of the company, he can arrest him. So that's what happens in Robocop. Those are my thoughts on Robocop. Let me know what you guys think. Have you seen Robocop recently? What do you think of the movie? Do you like the 2014 version better? Let me know in the comment section down below. This This has been VNI Nation. Thank you, and goodbye.